Hey guys, we're going to try to do more middle game and end game planning videos. So here we go, featuring a Caro-Kann defense, middle game and end game planning. So I'm going to kind of go through the first moves quickly. We have Caro-Kann, and my opponent goes for this quick check, trading off the light square bishops, and then plays d4. So now we're getting into what looks like an exchange variation. The e pawn is traded for the c pawn. And one thing I'm thinking here already is let's focus on these bishops. We have an imbalance here with the bishops. So my light square or my dark square bishop is opposite of these light pawns, and my opponent's dark square bishop is on the same color as their dark pawns, especially this d4 pawn. The other imbalance is we have a 2 versus 3 on the queen side and a 3 versus 4 over here on the king side. So we have a Carlsbad structure. So here what I'm doing is I'm starting a minority attack on the queen side. The idea is I'm going to use these 2 pawns against these 3 pawns, trying to create weaknesses in the white structure on the queen side. And that's how I'm going to push for an advantage. And hopefully this knight's a little bit misplaced and I can get good queenside activity going. So here my opponent retreats. And now I play knight e4. So here I'm already thinking endgame. Something that's kind of fun with the Caro-Kann is you can go for these endgame grinds and try to outplay your opponent positionally and focusing on the imbalances. So here we trade off the bishops, which was technically my good bishop, but I see that I have this advantage in development on the queen side. I have a strong knight, my queen's eyeing the queen side, and I have this half-open c-file that I can use to put pressure on white's c-pawn. So let's see how this unfolds. Okay, my opponent offers a trade on e5, and now we have 3 versus 3 queenside, but my pawn on d5 is well defended. It's very solid. This pawn is potentially a weakness, because if white plays f4, then it opens up their king. And the c2 pawn is potentially a weakness because I do still have this half-open file. So if you kind of add up all these little imbalances, Stockfish is saying that I'm up 0.8 here. So this move was not the most accurate, but I don't want to focus on that part for now. Okay, so here my opponent makes a small inaccuracy, rook e2. F3 was the best move, trying to dislodge this knight. But let's look at this position now. Okay, so we each have 2 rooks and 1 knight. We're already in endgame territory. We each have 7 pawns. So the material is exactly the same. How can we play for the win here as black? What we need to focus on are the differences. We know this e5 pawn is a potential weakness, and now we have the half-open b file. So what we're going to try to do here is create a situation where our knight and 2 rooks are all active, I should say, and white's rooks are set to be passive. So we want like this rook sitting on b1, maybe pawn to c3, and white just sitting back and waiting, while we're going to put our rooks active and try to fire them down the b and c files. So let's see how this unfolds. Rook b8, hitting the b pawn. My opponent plays b3. Now rook c8. So we can see both rooks are ready to play active, b and c files. Now here my opponent makes a mistake, f3. If you play active and you play for the initiative, that's when it's more likely your opponent will make mistakes. So after f3, I have this little sequence, knight c3 out to b5. My opponent trades knights, which I was ready for, and here I took with the rook. So again, look what's happening. Both rooks are where the action is, b and c files. That's where these trades are about to happen. The white rooks are not ready for this. Also, this b5 rook is eyeing the pawn on e5, which is a potential weakness. So here my opponent plays rook c3, and at this point I made a small inaccuracy. I played g5. It might have been better to put the b rook on c5 right away. But the idea with g5 is I don't want any back rank tactics. And also in the future, I might walk this king up to f5 going after the e pawn. So g5 is blocking the f pawn from easily moving up. So kind of dual purpose. Protects this back rank threat, allows my king to come up and easily attack this e pawn later. a4. Alright, so here again, I'm just keeping all these pieces active. Now I'm threatening to play e5, or sorry, d4, threatening the e5 pawn. And again, we see here, because I'm putting all this pressure on the opponent, even though we're in an endgame, white's playing passive here. They're defending threats, and that's a very uncomfortable position to be in for a lot of players. Now we see a blunder with b takes c. And after rook takes c4, this position is already completely winning. So it doesn't look like it would be a big mistake. But let's watch how this unfolds. Rook takes c4, rook takes c4. These pawns are double attacked. The only way to defend them both is rook a2. But now you can count this timing out in your head. 1, 2, 3, and take the pawn on the fourth move. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the quickest way for white to defend this pawn, and it's our move. So the plan now is pretty straightforward. King g7, king g6, king f5. White plays h4 here. I think just trying to distract me maybe. I took the pawn, rook takes, and my opponent played rook b2 and then resigned because rook takes a4 is coming. So now all of a sudden, if you look at the pawn count, I'm up 2 pawns and the e-pawn is about to get captured. So it's most likely up 3 pawns, and this position is completely winning for black. So this is an example of how you can use endgame imbalances to play for a win and to play aggressively with your rooks in the endgame. So this came out of a Caro-Kann. ChessGoals does have a Caro-Kann course. There is a link in the description. And we also have a free chapter preview video on a full chapter and a Caro-Kann playlist on the YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe and check out our website, check out the Caro-Kann course, and leave your comments below. What did you think of this Caro-Kann endgame? Do you play the Caro-Kann yourself? Would you like to see more Caro-Kann videos, more of these endgame imbalance type videos? All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate your comments. We'll see you in the next video.